Hello everyone, it's Billy Glassman. And today we're going to go over Daniel chapter 10. And this one here is basically setting the stage of a background of what Daniel is feeling and seeing before he gets the next prophetic message. The entire chapter on this because of just how intense it is and how Daniel's giving us this visual of what's going on in this third message from Gabriel that we have recorded. So again, this is chapter 10 and starting with verse 1. And let's take a look at this because this is very fascinating here. He gets a message of what was going on spiritually when he's trying to get a message from God. So chapter 10 verse 1. In the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. And the message was true and one of great conflict. But he understood the message and had an understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 entire weeks. I did not eat any tasty food, nor did meat or wine enter my mouth, nor did I use any ointment at all until the entire 3 weeks were completed. On the 24th day of the first month, while I was on the bank of the great river that is the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, there was a certain man dressed in linen, whose waist was girded with a belt of pure gold of Uphaz. Okay. So first Daniel describes the kind of fast that he did, which is very interesting because we think of a fast as no food and water, and that's an absolute fast. But Daniel, he just restrains himself from certain types of food, meat, and most tasty food, and wine. And the other fast he did, which was very interesting, was he didn't put any ointments on himself during this time. Now, fasting with sackcloth and ashes was actually not an uncommon way to represent stress and a desire for repentance. What does sackcloth and ashes do? It makes your skin very uncomfortable, and that discomfort reminds you to pray and could possibly distract you from other discomfort of your heart, or at least remind you there. But it reminds you to pray. But Daniel's basically doing the same thing by not ointing himself. Some people have sensitive skin and need ointment, and Daniel wasn't doing that. So for 3 weeks, he's in deep prayer trying to get an understanding of a prophetic vision he got. And then he sees the angel Gabriel, at least the third time that we see recorded. And he gets very graphic with what's going on here. It's really fascinating. So let's read it. So I stopped with verse 5 and we'll read verse 6. His body also was like beryl. His face had the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches. His arms and feet like the gleam of polished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a tumult. Now I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, while the men who were with me did not see the vision. Nevertheless, a great dread fell on them, and they ran away to hide themselves. Okay, now this is fascinating. Story of the Apostle Paul. He hears the vision, but other people around him didn't. He didn't hear the voice of Jesus, but they could tell something was going on, and there was a dread falling on him. Different people have different levels of spiritual awareness. Some people have assumed that this could be Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who are his friends, who have this fear coming on them, but they can't see it. But it could have been anybody who was with them. I heard a story about a husband and wife and the wife's brother who went and visited a cemetery. And this is supposedly a haunted cemetery, demonic activity. The husband, just normal night to him, didn't hear or see anything. The brother heard a dog barking, and the wife heard something snarling right next to her ear. It was obviously demonic, but each one of them had a different level of spiritual awareness of what was going on there. The same thing can happen with angelic visits. Different people have different levels of spiritual awareness, and that's just how it is by God's choice. But Daniel gets the most graphic spiritual awareness here, and then he describes what happens as a result. I'm going to read verse 7 again. Now I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, while the men who were with me did not see the vision. Nevertheless, a great dread fell on them, and they ran away to hide themselves. So I was left alone and saw this great vision, yet no strength was left in me, for my natural color turned to a deathly pallor. and I retained no strength. But I heard the sound of his words, and as soon as I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground. Okay, so why is this happening? Didn't Daniel have a conversation with Gabriel before, and Gabriel didn't look like this, and Daniel didn't react like this? Well, let's keep reading, stick with me, and we're going to see what was possibly going on there. Then behold, a hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. He said to me, O Daniel, man of high esteem, understand the words that I am about to tell you, and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you. And when he had spoken his word to me, I stood up trembling. Then he said to me, Do not be afraid, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart on understanding this, and on humbling yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia was withstanding me for 21 days, the time it took Daniel to fast. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Now, I have come to give you an understanding of what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision pertains to the days yet future. This is a possible explanation for what had happened, and I want to emphasize possible. A while back I saw a picture of a soldier before, during, and after combat. And there were supposedly several of these, but I only saw this headline one. The soldier before going into combat looks like, all right, I'm going away. Let's see what happens. Like he's trying to anticipate what's going on. You see that look in his eyes of, all right, I'm going. I miss my family. Anticipate what's going on. And then during combat, his eyes look like this. His face tightens up like this. Like he's trying to hide his emotions and force himself to tough forward and look mean and nasty. And then after combat, he looks more relaxed, but his eyes still said, I look like I went through some trauma. Really fascinating to see those before, during, and after of soldiers in combat. What just happened with Gabriel? He was in a very serious fight for 21 days, so much that he needed help from Michael. If there was any time for Gabriel to look scary and be all amped up, it was then. No doubt he was still amped up from the fight when he came to see Daniel. And an amped up archangel is going to look really scary to a human. And you see the results. So let's keep reading here. He has to tell him in verse 12, then he said to me, Do not be afraid, Daniel, for from the first day you set your heart on understanding this, on humbling yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia was withstanding me for 21 days. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. That's interesting. Even angels get restrained by other fallen angels. Now I have come to give you an understanding of what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision pertains to the days yet future. When he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face toward the ground and became speechless. Daniel's still pretty shaken up. And behold, one who resembled a human being touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke and said to him who was standing before me, O my Lord, as a result of the vision, anguish has come upon me, and I have retained no strength. Okay, so now Gabriel has to really tone it down more and look like a human in order for Daniel to be able to interact with him. He had to touch Daniel's mouth to put his speech into him. And again, here's another indicator of what's been going on. Daniel's been under a lot of anguish because he knew that the vision meant something scary. And then Daniel says, For how can such a servant of my Lord talk to such as my Lord? As for me, there remains just now no strength in me, nor has any breath been left in me. Then this one with human appearance touched me again and strengthened me. He said, O man of high esteem, do not be afraid. Peace be with you. Take courage and be courageous. Now as soon as he spoke to me, I received strength and said, May my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. In other words, okay, I'm relaxed now. I'm strengthened now. Now I can hear what you say. Then he said, do you understand why I came to you? In other words, this is his attention getter. But I shall now return and fight against the prince of Persia. So I am going forth, and behold, the prince of Greece is about to come. In other words, Daniel, I don't have time to give you the full message here. He's giving Daniel a glimpse of the spirit world, what's going on with Israel. Satan was aggressively trying to destroy the Jewish people, still is to this day. He tried using the Persian Empire, but the Persians usually had a pretty good relationship with the Jews. Haman tried to get him killed by tricking King Ahasuerus, and that failed. But the Persians had a very good relationship with Israel, I think until about 1979, when the Shah fell and the Ayatollahs took over with Iran. So at that point it succeeded. But then he says, there's more fighting going on. The Prince of Greece is going to come and do more. He's going to basically explain that with Antiochus Epiphanes, who tried getting Jews to renounce the worship of God. But Gabriel gets more graphic of the spiritual war here. I'm going to read verse 20 again, then keep going. Then he said, do you understand why I came to you? But I shall now return to fight against the prince of Persia. So I am going forth, and behold, the prince of Greece is about to come. However, I will tell you what is inscribed in the writing of truth. Yet there is no one who stands firmly with me against these forces except Michael, your prince. Michael had to step in so Gabriel could get around. Now Gabriel has to step back away to help Michael fight back the demonic forces trying to destroy Israel, which has been impeding Daniel getting the message to his vision. So that itself was a little bit of a prophecy to Daniel of what's been going on. But again, let's let this sink in for a moment. How much spiritual warfare is going on around us that we're not aware of? Guarantee you there's a lot. Every evil thought that goes through your head, every person that causes unnecessary agitation or distraction from what God wants you to do, has a hand working behind the hand. Okay? But we just aren't aware of it all the time. Some of us are blinded to it for a reason. Maybe God doesn't want us to see it, or we've turned off our senses, but who knows? But God may give you a prophetic vision or dream, and you may need to persistently ask God to give it to you, and you may have to keep going because Satan wants to restrain truth from being told. So thank you all for watching, and God bless.